Design for me means how things work and the thought that's gone into how a human interacts with an object. So for me, it's everything.
When something works really well, it's designed well. But design can also be used to find the truth behind an issue or behind a design problem. And the design problem that we're facing now is climate change. We're taking 40 people in total, 30 students, up to Namibia to participate in a conference.
We are actually in CPUT now. We're busy working on the artwork that we will be exhibiting in Namibia. This project is very dependent on participation, and it actually draws a lot of input and expertise from people with different backgrounds, different disciplines.
Participation is massive because you cannot design for someone if you don't know who that person is.
We can influence people that we come across along the way, and along the way, people can influence us as well.
So the Participatory Design Conference held in Namibia this year is about climate change. We found that the tigerfish was the best representation of that. Being a fish that's becoming endangered, it's losing its space due to climate change.
I'm busy welding the frame here, which the fish is going to be sitting in.
What we have done now is to attach the spine to the alive side. The alive side is on the other side, so that we can suspend it into that box over there.
People can actually walk over the cracked earth. And then each student will have 2 tiles which they will write a story on to get the audience to actually participate in the design.
So what inspired me the most about joining this project was the idea of going to Lambert's Bay, because that is my home community where I grew up. For me, the best memories I have from Lambert's Bay is actually just running barefoot in the sand. Basically, my identity is from Lambert's Bay. And what this project allows me to do as well is actually bring back what I've learned after leaving Lambert's Bay and seeing how I can actually implement it in the community.
The build has been a little bit challenging, but we've kind of solved most of the problems that we've come across, and it should be fine and stable for the trip, I hope.
This is the day before we leave. It's the finishing touches to our tigerfish. As of tomorrow, it's going to be doing a 1,000-kilometer plus journey to Windhoek with a few stops in between, some workshops, and to meet some people.
The problems that you face in the desert are obviously you're a long way from home, you've got very few resources, and what you have brought with you is what you've got to make do with. There's always nerves when you make something. There's always nerves. You've got to stick your neck out and say, I think this is going to work.
We're at CPUT now, taking the road in about 35 minutes to go through to Lambert's Bay. Just gonna be lifting this fish installation onto the trailer, and this thing is about 400 kgs. I'm not gonna do it alone. Yeah. Many hands make light work. The fish is in the cage, it's strong, steady, and it's gonna play it all the way.
We just arrived in Lambert's Bay, and yeah, I had a good trip so far. No problems with the fish. It's a great day to be on the beach.
I think my classmates' perception about Lambert's Bay was a bit skeptical when we came in. As we went through and actually started to engage, I think the insights about the place expanded, and what they could experience made it in such a way that they actually enjoyed it.
we actually want to find out from you, the farmers and the fishermen that are here. Have you seen any traces, any evidence of climate change? Has it impacted on your lives?
Sometimes you
I live outside Lambert's Bay on an old family farm to meet other people that are interested in the area and what is happening to our environment and the sustainability of that. I think it's amazing. The most compelling thing that I've seen, a 7-kilometre wetland being reduced to nothing within 10 years.
Showing you here is what the wetlands used to look like in my grandfather's time.
This experience actually affected me, especially as a designer. What I've experienced in Lambert's Bay now was that even in places where you might just oversee when you go past them, just by engaging and talking to people, you can actually identify real design problems, and with your competency, you can actually address it. It can actually enrich your community. Talking to people that are now 60, 80 years old, gaining from them the knowledge that they have, it can only make you more aware of steps that you can take to either empower yourself or empower your neighbor. And it brings it to that theme that's here in South Africa of Ubuntu.
So we were in Lambert's Bay yesterday morning and we left Lambert's Bay and then we've driven through the border between South Africa and Namibia, and now we're on the Orange River at Bundy Lodge. This campsite is amazing. It's very quiet and very relaxing, very different to the city life that we're used to. Today we're going to go to one of the local communities. We're going to go to their church and we're going to ask them some questions about climate change and global warming in their area and how it's affected them.
What we're doing is we're mixing some water and some of the local sand here to make a nice thick paste, and what we're going to do is give it to all of the kids to dip their hands in, and then they're going to put their handprints onto the dead side of our fish skeleton. They're doing it to sort of leave their mark on it to show that they are as much a part of the journey as we are. Okay, so you're going to go like this. You're going to put it in, you're going to make it nice and wet, and you just go like this.
Going to the community opened my eyes to a lot of things that we take for granted, and it made me realize that, you know, in this society where we sort of, you know, push for obsolescence and more, we don't realize that the people who actually don't have anything would love to be in our position of asking for more. I think that really hit home for me.
Similar to people in Lambert, they use the environment to get sustenance and make money from it. So they fish in the river to feed their families and to sell these fish. And it just shows how important the environment is. If this river wasn't here, or if it was polluted perhaps, they wouldn't have that source of income, and they also wouldn't be able to feed their families.
What they did say is that the temperatures have definitely risen, so it's getting a lot hotter every year, although this year hasn't been too bad. Normally by now they said you can't even walk on the ground. The weather's becoming more unpredictable, so a similar theme to what we had in Lambert's Bay.
The biggest challenge was getting them to trust us enough with their stories. We're not really taught how to get people to trust you, and as a designer it becomes a lot more imperative because you're not just there to design products, you're designing a lifestyle, you're designing an experience. So like the kids experiencing, you know, for the first time seeing this fish and being able to engage with it and touching it and getting their hands dirty, it's exactly how I feel on this trip. For instance, now we're carving our stories into the little tiles and we're going to put the whole thing together. For me, that's actually sort of the first step in getting my hands dirty. Now I'm also able to sort of put my voice into the design and sort of have a piece of myself in it. We're leaving for Windhoek from the Bundy camp now. I think it's 5:45, and it's really early and we're really tired and we haven't gotten much sleep. But we're embarking on a journey, 800 Ks to Windhoek, so that should be fun. We're going to be sticky though and sweaty, but we should amuse ourselves really well though.
somewhere about in the middle of nowhere on that side and nowhere on that side, in between Bundi and Windhoek. Just stopping for lunch at the moment. We had some rain earlier, rain in Namibia, not a very common thing. We're just checking if there was still mud in the fish here from the kids' interaction yesterday. They're still there, they're still functioning pretty well. A couple of cracks, but yeah, it's holding up very well. The rain came with the fish, so I could swim through the desert.
So it's Monday afternoon, it's now 4:15, we've been on the bus since about 6 a.m. It's been a really long day, we're feeling pretty tired, and the fish is probably taking a beating on the back of the trailer, but hopefully when we get to Namibia and unpack it later this evening, it's going to be alright. We're going to fix it up and get ready for the exhibition come Tuesday. We finally made it to the venue here in Namibia at the Coast Safari Hotel Conference Centre. The fish has just arrived, it's pulled up outside, we've all got our name tags, picking up our bags, and yeah, really excited to get the fish out and into the room and see what the space is like and what we can create.
Right now we have our fish that we constructed in Cape Town, and we need to complete that process to mark the various stages of the journey along the hot wire, which will be an interactive component of the fish that people can actually trace the journey using the hot wire system. The buzzer will go off if you touch the wire.
Well, we've got a lot of work to do. We still have to get a whole bunch of stuff in, and we have a 6 o'clock deadline.
It seems like such a simple thing, just an exhibit, we've got a fish, put it up, but it takes a lot of coordination and planning and leadership, and a lot of things that we thought in concept are now being tested with the actual implementation. There's still many problems popping up, but it's all about how we handle it now, and it's part of the process, really.
I'm just basically doing like quality control and making sure that all the little pieces aren't sticking out so that it looks as professional as possible. They specifically chose this fabric because it drapes very well. So you'll see when the whole thing is covered, it actually looks like water.
Okay, so just pop it a bit to the right. Stop. Cool, that's that.
Perfect.
So we've finally just got the fish, it's almost completed, we're in the venue, we've just put it down, we're happy where it's placed, and now we're going to do the last finishing touches. We're going to put the towels on the floor, get the projection going of our journey that the guys made, nice video for us. Then we're going to go home and shower and freshen up and be ready for the open.
Its abundance is endless, this place I call home. I swim far upfield, up rivers and streams. My scales are brilliant, crisp, look at how they gleam. My belly is empty, barren with decay. Perhaps I'll disappear and wither away. I dream of the rivers where I can swim away. Blow the horns, Ubuntu, my people, let us unite. We have the capital to combat this plight. New perceptions, new motives, the possibilities run wild. Let us free our minds, our eyes unblind. Participate, communicate, let us thrive. The man and the fish, let us leave none behind. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm from the Cape Peninsula University of Technology, and together with the Oslo School of Art and Design, we have traveled more than 1,500 kilometers to bring you the story of the people from Lambert's Bay and the people from Noordoever. We consist of a team of staff, doctoral students, master students and fourth year students, and we came here and we sat in the bus, we read stories, we shared stories, we listened to stories, and it bound us together. And so we would like you to share with us the stories that are written in the tablets below, the story that is on the fish. I give you Team Tigerfish.
I like the fish, I think, and the blend of ideas. And I was also moving around reading, I think, the stories of different people from different parts. Farmers saying that, they're seeing their livelihood ending. Some fishermen saying, I think 3 generations of fishermen, will end with me. It attracts you, firstly, draws you in, and then as you move, you can connect with those stories in there. So I love it.
I actually saw this fish being built outside, and when I looked at it, I thought, what on earth is going on here? And now I've actually come to see the finished product and see what it was all about, and I think it's amazing. I come from Zambia, so I know the importance of fish within your local environment.
The trip has actually been fantastic. I'm very impressed about the way they have been able to interact when they come to the different communities we are met. We have been able to get a lot of insights from fishermen, from farmers, from farmer workers, and the community in general.
So we're at the Fab Lab stand, and we're participating in an installation that they've built to raise awareness about the amount of wool which is wasted. And I think it's about close to 300,000 tons of wool that is produced here in Namibia that is in fact wasted. And so they've built this installation for us to sort of participate with and just make us think about different uses for wool. So we're sort of thinking of different ways we can repurpose excess material that's sort of wasted and thrown away.
Well, Fab Lab Namibia, similar to all other Fab Labs, is a rapid prototyping laboratory that allows anybody from any demographic, any, say, affluency level to create almost anything. If you have no idea what to make, but you have a really innovative idea, then we can show you how to make something from, say, a laser-cut keyring to a 3D printed chair to a 3D printed shoe, just based on what you're interested in. PDC has been mind-blowing, I must admit. I've met tons of really interesting people with lots of different ideas, with lots of different techniques, different methodologies, different views on life. So it is really fulfilling to come and learn so much from everybody around. The tigerfish is insane, I must say. I still have to find out how you guys built it, but I do love it. I want to climb inside of it because it looks really awesome. The knitting spool is just a way to get people into actually learning about another use of wool in Namibia, because as you know, we have a lot of wool we do not use, we discard it. So besides just felting it, we thought, okay, we can make a giant knitting spool, showing people how to use an old technique to make a new innovative product. Let's use an old concept, let's like magnify it times 1,000 and see what we get from that.
So I am invited to PDC conference to make the ADA. ADA is an analog interactive installation and post-digital drawing machine. So we have something like a very huge nanorobot here.
We've been getting really dirty,
Yeah,
I can say
we've
that.
been playing, we've been making generative art, in a sense, through motion.
And interpretive dance.
Yes, and some violence.
And through an insane sense of emotion and body working with an object to create something abstract and beautiful.
Oh, you stole my light.
What?
I was just about to say what she said.
But it's also cool because it's like a three-dimensional canvas,
Yeah.
and every
It's really
aspect
awesome.
of it is like a different interpretation of what the ball was doing. It was really fun.
Yeah, I felt like an inverted hamster.
After we left Windhoek, after the PDC conference, we went to 2 flays, an alive flay called sausage flay, and then the dead flay. So the live flay flows about once every 3 years. The dead flay hasn't for something like 800 years.
Coming into the desert, actually, it's an amazing space just to reflect on yourself, on your thoughts, and what you want to do.
If you are at work and you're rushed, you actually don't have a moment to feel that in-between space, that quiet space, that liminal space that exists between people. There's almost a pause between notes that is very sensitive, and we're usually so rushed that you can't quite fathom and step into that to really be with that person. And that happened in a big way on the trip. It was really lovely.
Coming through to the PDC and actually being involved with the build of the fish gave me some conclusions to some of the questions that I had about me as a designer, having to find my own design language. So for me, this whole experience is, as I can say, life-changing.
Has really given me a bit of space for reflection, a bit of space to think, and to maybe touch base with some of my essential beliefs around what design is and what design can do. And I think that one has to be incredibly careful as a so-called designer to offer solutions in a space that is fraught with complexity. And I think that the participatory process does enable us, through careful consultation, to touch base with the real essence of the problem statement, to develop that problem statement, and then to come up with possible solutions that can then be taken forward. Well, participatory design is the relational capital that one can develop in interacting with other people. I think the fish has served its purpose, and I think within a conference which was quite academic and to some extent philosophical, the fish brought us back to talking about real problems and real issues.
In the context of South African culture and big divides still existing, I think that participatory design and specifically also co-design have the capacity to bring people together on a professional level where you can mutually, or where the group can make inputs into a very specific project, which is exactly what happened with the PDC and the tigerfish installation.
My dream is to have a unified faculty of design where we break down the various silos between the disciplines and play to the strengths of each. So a mutual goal, individual responsibility and positive interdependence. And it was really interesting for me to see how those three things played out during this whole trip.
I think as a designer, when you have a lived experience like this one, it affects the way that you think, that you do your daily work, and the way that you design and do art.
One person can't change the world. We all have to come together. If people can realize how important this issue is and that we all need to band our resources together to try and fix it, then I think we can actually have a shot at it. And that's why participatory design is so important, because it allows everybody to contribute.